Hi everybody, it's Alisa Murray here. Hi my sweet lifers. I hope you guys are having a beautiful, beautiful week. I'm hanging out here with my best friend Trellis, and you
Yay!
have no idea. I just love that I've had an opportunity to meet Trellis and be around Trellis. And Trellis's daughter is Satavia. Satavia, who put together this book that we've been working on, and you guys have been following that along on the channel. And I've known Satavia for, oh my goodness, she came to see me when she was pregnant with your grandson. So it's
Correct. So
been
that's
like
been 15.
15 years. So it's been
Yes.
a long time. So today we're going to talk about this book. We're going to talk about just stuff in general, but I really found that this book is going to be so helpful to so many people because there's so many, everybody's grieving, whether it's a dog,
Yes.
a cat, a parent, a child. What we just had happen over in the Hill
Oh
Country.
my God.
What
Such a
a
tragedy.
horrible situation this summer, and I've even started working on a book to help the grieving children
Wow.
and grieving parents because I feel like there's so many people. That's a hard one. When you lose a child, that's a hard one. I saw my grandparents whenever my mom was killed, and my grandmother literally Nana turned 100 in April, and Daddy dropped dead in front of her on his 64th birthday
Oh
in
wow.
May. And so I've seen my grandparents, both of them, deal with the loss of their child. And so I know that it's close to my heart. When that happened, I was just like, man, this is not, it's not anything you ever get over. You never
Correct.
get over it anyway, but children especially.
Children are hard
Yeah.
because we always think they haven't been given a chance yet. They haven't experienced life.
Mm-hmm. So talk to me a little bit about your journey. Whenever we were talking about, all these different nurses have come in, a couple of doctors, you've got this hospice situation going on. There's a lot of stigma with the hospice stuff.
Yes.
People think that you're just coming in and you're going to just kill the patient, and that's crazy because that's not at all the case. People don't understand that it's covered by, most of the time, it's covered, which is important because people, I guess, maybe don't even want to call because they're afraid of what it's going to cost. And a lot of people, the person who's actually passing may be the main breadwinner, and that's also
True.
probably a real big kind of not a red flag, but sort of a fear. So tell me how you got into hospice. How did all that start?
So I was actually doing marriage and family therapy, and my daughter, my
She
lovely
recruited you.
daughter, well, she was doing hospice. She had grad from nursing school and had a couple of things that she wanted to do.
Right.
So she started doing hospice, and I met the people that she worked for. So we would frequently laugh and talk about her day. And so she would ask me questions about, oh, would this happen? What would you do? So I started sharing with her, have you ever thought about it from this perspective?
Right.
So we talked about that. And as time went by, I was retiring from my private practice. So
Ah.
I thought that I would do something different. So I saw an advertising at United Healthcare. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that it was for hospice.
Okay.
So I went, met the people, ended up engaging in conversation. They hired me. They hired me.
Well, of course they
So
would hire
from
you.
that
Hello.
so from that point, I started marketing hospice. And what I found is some of my colleagues were like, what are you doing? And I'm
Right.
like, you know what? I used to talk to Satavia about hospice. I had read about hospice. And when I went, met these people, started talking to them about hospice, and I started going out in the field. And they wanted to know, why would I leave my practice to go and do this?
Right.
It made perfect sense to me because what I found is the exact same thing that I was already talking to people about. I just expounded on life.
For sure.
So now we're talking about end of life care. So you still at a position that you are going back and forth with what life will take you to, right? So this journey became so pleasant for me. And when I use the word pleasant, I mean it was real life, right? In my own family unit, my grandmother, I saw her road. So when I started to do the therapy and I'm talking to people, you'd be surprised at the dynamics that people currently have. And you're looking at your own dynamics, you're looking at their dynamics. Some people are not ready for end of life care.
Yeah.
They don't want to start end of life care, because there is a beginning. The beginning is your diagnosis. The beginning is you talking about what's going on with you. How are you going to navigate where life is going to take you? So we start to talk about that. We get the clinical piece in on that. Then we're talking monetarily. So when we talk a monetary position on it, they're like, well, how much is it going to cost?
Yeah.
I like to share with them, if you have Medicare, Medicaid, it's not going to cost you a penny.
Right.
Not one red penny, no copay, no third-party billing. Not going to cost you anything. That's pleasant to most people. Because they're thinking, oh my God, I'm dealing with this hardship. Yeah. Now where am I at?
Yeah.
Even for the ones that were financially astute, the conversation still came up, what is the cost factor?
Yeah.
So when I can share with you, it doesn't cost you anything with Medicare, Medicaid. Now, if you are a private insurance payer, then it's based on whether or not you have hospice insurance. Whether you have that coverage. Some insurance plans have riders, some of them don't. Then there are plans that they will only cover a certain dollar amount because you got to meet your deductible.
So here's a question that's just interesting and very important for the viewers to know. Like, I'm a private insurance person, right? I've had a photography business for 27 years.
Yes.
I've never worked for anybody. I've always worked for myself.
Right.
Except for one little stint one summer where I worked at my daddy's OBGYN clinic, and that wasn't so much fun. So that didn't work out.
I bet it did not.
Well, it did work out because I have a strong personality. And the nurses defer to my daddy and the other physicians.
Correct.
And I walked in like I owned the place because it was my daddy's office. And about 3 days after being in charge of things, they didn't like me being in charge of them, or I thought I was in charge of them. My personality just was like the wrong...
Clashing.
Yeah, bad. And it was funny that I could intimidate at 16 years old grown women that had been working for that office for years and years.
It's your present.
I just really intimidated them. And Daddy just had to sit me down and say, okay, Mama, I just don't think this is a good summer job for you because you're disrupting the female...
the milieu here.
...situation. But knowing that, I have regular private insurance, and I now know that I need to check to see if I have an override.
Absolutely. So most insurance carriers will have some form of hospice.
Okay.
Right? But keep in mind, you got to meet your deductible.
Right.
Medicare, Medicaid, there is no deductible.
So how does that even work? Like, how old do you have to be to get it? Is that something you automatically get?
You don't have to be a certain age, because keep in mind, hospice is even done for children.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's no age barrier.
Okay.
It's all about your insurance plan and whether or not that plan is going to carry hospice.
Okay. That's something I need to check on.
The only difference is, always keep in mind, you want to check your deductible.
Well, I always carry a high deductible. So,
most people do.
But the reality is that I would imagine, just because my aha moment, and you guys, I know every one of y'all that watch me, all 150,000 plus, are going to get this book, read this book, because there's so much to be learned from this book. But to know that you need to get into hospice early and not late. That's the other big aha moment that's happened for me, just in knowledge about collaboration with all the people for this book. Because I thought, like so many people do, and probably still do, you know, hospice is like the last 2 weeks of life or something. That's not the case.
No. Let me elaborate on that. So oftentimes people, they meet the criteria for hospice. So keep in mind, when we're thinking in terms of hospice, we're thinking of a terminal illness with a life expectancy of 6 months or less.
Okay.
Of course, people can live longer on hospice, and statistics, research have shown us that people who typically go on hospice in a timely manner live longer than the ones who don't. Why? Because they're getting such great care. You have a registered nurse that's coming out to see you. You have a certified nurse attendant that's coming out to take care of your personal hygiene from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Personal hygiene.
You have a chaplain.
Social worker, chaplain.
You
have an attending physician that oversees. So versus calling your PCP that might call you back today. They might call back tomorrow. You don't have that with hospice.
It's immediate.
It's fast, right? So that attending physician is already familiar with you. Mm-hmm. They're familiar. So they know what's going on. So when you're communicating with them, whether it's you as the patient or
somebody in the family,
someone in your family, your loved one, whoever the caretaker is, when they're calling, they're giving specifics about what's going on, whether they are medically inclined or not. They're saying, hey, she's running a fever, or she's dehydrated, she's nauseated today. There's a change of condition because our nurses are already coming out to see you. They're familiar with you.
Yeah.
And they oftentimes will know that there's a change. But you've also, the sooner you come on service, the better, because you are able to oftentimes verbally still share what's going on. Verbally, you can say, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. Yeah. That's the important factor. So oftentimes people will come on later than sooner. Sometimes they want to continue taking, they may be getting dialysis.
Right.
So they want to continue with the dialysis. And depending on the way they're getting the dialysis, if there are any other comorbidities attached, then we can take that patient. If the patient is one that's getting chemotherapy, they may want to continue with their rounds of radiation or chemo or some sort of trial. Then you will come on hospice at a later date, but we put you on what's called palliative. The palliative work even better at this time because now you're still seeking aggressive services. Why is that important? Because in my mind, in my head, in my heart, I want to make sure that I've tried everything in terms of my option availability.
Right.
And if I do that, then I'm kind of a clear conscience to say, you know what? I didn't give up. I kept trying, right? And sometimes you can keep trying, Alisa, but it's not beneficial for you. But it's an option.
Yeah. You know, the thing that it's running congruent throughout all of the stories for this book, and even mine. God's involved.
Absolutely.
And we can do all that we want to do. We can try as hard as we want to try. But the main thing we have to do is trust in Him.
Correct.
And it's His decision. The Holy Spirit will take just as the Holy Spirit has given us life.
That's right.
And it's not, you know, it's not something to think, oh, well, these people are coming in and this is going to be a quicker way to get out of the situation. No, that's not what hospice is.
We don't do euthanasia, and
No.
I have had to explain that. We don't do euthanasia. Sometimes family members and patients, they think that. They think that we can take away life. No, we do not. The state of Texas does not permit
Well,
euthanasia.
I don't even think there's any state in the union.
Well, I know we don't do it at all.
Yeah.
We do not do euthanasia. We don't over-medicate patients. We don't take medications away from patients, right?
Right.
We want to make sure that whatever is going to make this patient comfortable, make this journey as easy and as pleasant as possible. Oftentimes people think death is not pleasant. Death can be pleasant.
Yeah.
It can. It's all in what? How you think, how your perception is. If your perception is that this is a death sentence, when I speak to patients, I tell them, this is not a death sentence. This is going to be a great experience.
Well, here's the thing. We talked about this, and we keep talking about this, and I've talked about this, not even on this series, but I've talked about this with people on the couch from other walks of life for as long as this channel's been going on. So, you know, I started the channel in 2020. So, hello, for 5 years.
Congrats, 5
years. The thing is that, you know, we get all excited when people get pregnant, we have a baby, and we do the nursery, and we get all this crazy stuff going on, and birthday here, and birthday there, and all da-da-da-da. And people don't prepare themselves in our society. I know that in other parts of the world, that's a very different situation. There is just as much celebration, just as much preparation for the death.
Yes.
And if we could just pivot, and I'm thinking about now my thesis for my doctorate, I'm trying to decide kind of where my total focus is going to be in seminary theology and apologetics and all the things. And of course, that's all just driven why we're here,
Mm-hmm.
what's our purpose, how God's created us, how we were not meant to die because of the
Mm-hmm.
fall and because of sin, and how if we believe in Christ Jesus, we will be given a new body in the new heavens and the new earth.
Absolutely.
This year is not the place to be excited about.
Mm-hmm.
It's the place we're going to when we go home.
That's right.
So it's like a whole different mindset from what the culture is,
Mm-hmm.
which is hard to describe to somebody who's not been in seminary.
I believe in meeting with families and patients, and I want to share with them, how do you embrace where you're at? We come into this world, and I attest with you, we celebrate babies, we celebrate marriages, right? We celebrate all these fabulous things, accomplishments. We graduate from school, we're celebrating, right? Why can't we have a celebration of life? So with that being said, I think in terms of celebrating life, if you have a terminal diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
at this point, start dotting your I's and crossing your T's. If you have that time, you can do that. What's wrong with me sharing with you? Alisa, I really love you. Thank you. You have impacted my life by doing A, B, C, D.
Right.
You know what it opens the door up for? For people to come and embrace you as well. I think oftentimes when we hide it, we don't want no one to know, so we keep it a secret. And what do you hear on the news, or someone say to you, so-and-so passed away. I didn't know they were sick.
Yeah. So that happened
Why
with
not?
Brian's daddy. That happened
Didn't know
with
they were
Brian's
sick.
daddy. I mentioned this, for those of y'all that are watching it, here's the story again. Daddy was one of those doctors that, even though he was an OBGYN, we're from a small town.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times in small towns, the doctors that are doing one specialty, sometimes when they have family members that they love and know, if something's going on, they'll just sort of take a peek at this chart and take a peek at that chart. And that's just how it is in the medical family. If you know, you know. Anyway, so Brian's daddy had gone and gotten some blood work done, and my daddy was still alive. And Daddy said to him, I don't like what's on there. You need to go get that checked. Well, I don't know if Brian's daddy just didn't believe him, or if he just didn't want to know, or what. But then, not long after that, my daddy dropped dead from pulmonary embolism.
Oh, wow.
And left the world. Both my parents never said goodbye. It's hysterical. Both of them. Mom got hit by a train when I was 8. Daddy dropped dead on his 64th birthday when I was pregnant with James Edward. And I'm like, to my sister, I said, what is with our parents? They just don't even say goodbye. They just leave.
They just leave.
1 minute they're here, poof, the next minute they're gone. I have a completely different experience with that. Those are two huge milestone deaths. And because of that, I think that's part of what's helped me too. Not only with just my own personal life, but in my work with breast cancer families, my work with children's cancer, all the things that I've done with my career as an artist, dealing with people who are dying in places that are not, they get a chance to say goodbye. It's a very different thing.
Right.
But Daddy didn't, Brian's daddy now, I'm talking daddy, Brian, my daddy's gone. Brian's daddy didn't say anything to anybody. And then it was like out of the blue, right in the middle of the Christmas season, we're out here in Texas shooting, and I get a call from his brother. Hospice has showed up. And we're like, hospice has showed up? What are you talking about? Like, what is happening here? What is happening here? And as soon as I heard the word hospice, I was like, I told Brian, I said, we got to reschedule photo shoots. We got to get on a plane. We got to get in North Carolina. When you say hospice to me at that point in my life, I'm thinking I got 24, 48, 72 hours. I mean, I didn't know how long we had.
Right.
Turns out this man had leukemia and had a catheter and had all these things go wrong. And he had not said one word, not even to Brian's mother. Nobody knew anything about what was going on. And it was literally like 3 days that we got to spend with him. Thank God I did have at that point in my life that mentality with hospice, because if I hadn't known that and I said, oh, we'll see you at Thanksgiving, he would have died before we got to say goodbye. But it was just crazy. I mean, people just don't say things that they need to say. They don't hug people. They don't kiss people. They don't tell them they love them. And people accuse me all the time of being sometimes a little bit too, I love you so much. But you know what? That comes from the fact,
what tomorrow is going to hold.
That's it.
And we don't know what the next second is going to hold.
That's it.
But you know what? It's a typical question when I meet and I'm talking with families. one of the things they always say, how much time do you think I have? And you know what I respond back?
What?
Let's not focus on how much time you have left, but rather let's focus on how you're going to enjoy today.
Right. You know
And
what I would
what
say to
tomorrow?
him, Trellis? I'd say, well, biblically speaking, you don't know the hour that Christ is coming, and you have to be
Exactly.
ready with your oil all the time. And biblically speaking, we aren't given tomorrow. We only have right now, and we don't even know if we have the whole day right now. So
What does the word tell us? No man knoweth the day, time, nor the hour. But that's why it is so important and how I govern my life. Learn to embrace today.
right now.
Embrace the moment. Because you don't know what's going to happen. Who would have thought all of those little kids that we just lost, they went to sleep thinking that they're going to wake up the next morning?
It's crazy.
Who would think that someone out of their mind would walk into a church and kill everybody in a Bible study? Who would think that someone that's simply driving down the road, headed to their job or wherever this journey takes them,
Right.
who would think that someone so angry, so agitated, so disturbed would take a gun and shoot someone because they didn't let them get in,
Yeah.
or they're driving too slow?
Yeah.
So we as a people, Alisa, we got to learn how to embrace life.
Yeah.
And when things are presented to us, at some point we have to learn, but that comes from trusting God.
Yeah.
To know that God doesn't make any mistakes. He don't make mistakes.
No.
And if he say your time is up,
That's it.
your time is up. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you in your mom's arm. I don't care whose arms you're in.
Yeah.
When God say it's time, he's going to do what? He's going to send the death angel to get you. And your time is up.
That's it.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
So yes, we must learn to embrace life.
Yeah. And I think embrace death too. I think we have to learn.
To me, life and death is simultaneous.
Mm-hmm.
Being that death, you don't never know what's going to happen. Life, you don't know what's going to happen.
Right. Right.
You don't know.
Right.
So it depends on your viewpoint, your perception of life, because it's inevitable that just as sure as you have a birth date, you have a death date.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know which one is which.
No, and it's funny to me too because people just, I don't know. It's what, that's why I'm thinking about this for the thesis, because it's just work. It's work to have to get people to understand. It's not like standing in a pulpit, although I'm a Pauline, got that Southern Baptist background, so I'm not big on women in the pulpit, but I'm trying to work on that because some people are trying to encourage me otherwise. They're like, but you really should. And I'm like, well, but I really, I think I need to teach and maybe not preach. But there's a lot of work in the work of trying to get people to understand, not only biblically, but just in their daily lives, every single step that they make, they have to trust in God, and they have to know that there's nothing they can do to change the situation.
You cannot change
You can't
it.
change it.
And you know what I think also? I think a lot of it has to do with your thought process. What's in your backpack? Like you have a terrific story where you're talking about my dad. What happened to my father? What happened to my father-in-law, right? What happened to your mother?
Yeah.
So those are all interesting parts of your life, right? So from that point, you either learned and made some adjustment to how you're going to live your life, because now you have your own children.
Right.
You have your own husband. You have your own grandchild. So it's a whole different gambit, but also the interesting story that you and I shared about the loss of one of your pets. How you cared for the pet. What you did.
We were doing hospice for William.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know, I too lost two pets. Two standard poodles, Caesar and Lucky. I'd had them for 13 years.
Yeah.
So I know they had a great life. I know they had a great life. I know that they loved me. But when it was time for them to go, I had to accept that.
Yeah.
And you know what was comforting to me was to know that, and I know people often will say, What do you mean they're in a better place? You don't know what place they are, but I know what he say is
I know
a
where
better
they
place.
are.
I know where they are.
I know where they are.
And I know that a better place means that you are in a place where every day is a glorious day.
And the best body ever.
And the best body ever.
And the best body ever.
And let me tell you, it's nothing like being able to understand the Word of God. It's nothing like being able to walk through those doors, and even the ones that you're walking through that you're not certain of what's beyond that door. Just the opportunity to walk through the door and knowing who's walking with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because he said in his word, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, who's going to be with me?
Mm-hmm.
He is.
He is. That's the thing. I don't know how people get through this life at all without the Lord. I just don't. I don't understand it.
You know what I think is sad is that it takes a tragedy for some before they recognize who he is.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
That's the part that I think is saddened. But I think that everybody on this earth is going to have good days, bad days. And the only way we grow stronger in our faith is that we have to have some things to happen to us. Because everything is always good. How do you learn to have faith?
Well,
how do you trust God?
This side of heaven, that's not what we're given.
But
we're told we're going to suffer. We're told that that's what's going to happen.
Didn't he suffer?
He did.
If somebody could put a crown on your head, pierce your sides, pierce your hands, you don't think that was suffering?
Yeah.
My God. I don't know no man on this earth that can tolerate that.
No. I don't know. It's just interesting. And what's also really been interesting and wonderful is the family that I've got now through this book.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
it's
like amazing that Satavia has put all of us together. And it was funny because when she came to the studio, she was like, "Oh, Lisa, I've got a book." She had the other book.
Yes.
And I said, "Well, girl, why didn't you tell me? I could have promoted it on the channel, blah, blah, blah." And then she goes, something about, "We're doing another book." And then Daryl said, "Auntie A's supposed to be in that book." And Satavia spun around. She was like, "Oh my God, yes you are." Da 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 da. And so it's funny. It's not funny but funny like.
But isn't
God
it a way God?
Yeah,
that's exactly what I said. Isn't it? It's just a way that God has a tendency to do what? He connects people.
Mm-hmm.
He crosses paths with you, with the right people.
Mm-hmm.
When? At the right time.
At the right time.
At the right time.
Speaking of time, I want to read two things. Okay.
Sure.
So Trellis's story. Everybody in this book has written their own chapter. And there were two things that I wanted to read to you guys about what you wrote.
Okay.
One thing you wrote is whenever you were talking about this season of dying prepares us for the next season, which it does. And with every death is a different death. There's no
that's right.
death that's the same. I can speak from that, not only through my pets, but through my parents, through my brother, my nephew, all my in-laws. You know, I've had suicides. I've had living to be 102 with Nana.
Grace.
We've had all kinds of death, quick, death long, all those things. But you wrote, the season of loss is not about forgetting.
Mm-hmm.
Rather, it is about learning how to carry what is left behind.
Absolutely.
And I love that because what really resonated to me there was when Mother was killed, the nurses asked Daddy, didn't ask him, they set him up to get married.
Oh, wow.
And he married 6 months after Mother was killed. And we were nowhere near ready as a family.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to take pictures of her off the walls and trying to put somebody new in the house and having us call her mom. And I think all of the resentment, now I've already forgiven. All of it's over. Like
very good.
Completely done. Completely no problem on my end at all whatsoever. I'm at peace. But as a child, that statement, it took me right back to what I felt when I was 8, 9, 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not about forgetting. You can't forget the human being that you've lost.
You won't.
Well, we didn't, but there was this bubble of sense of trying to pick us up and move us to a new box and force us to not live in this box that we had been made into. And that was hard. It's hard.
Of course. And
hard.
as children, we oftentimes would teach our children to be adults when they're still children.
Yeah. And I think it was hard for Daddy. I mean, I don't think it was hard. I know it was hard for Daddy. And Daddy was not, he was an only child, so he didn't have any siblings. So there's a whole different world going on. When you have an only child and you have Satavia, and she's an only child.
And she's an only child.
Yeah. And so, and I don't know if you're an only child, but if you're not, then you'll understand. I'm the oldest of 5. So when you
I can identify with that. I'm the oldest of 3.
Yeah. So when you're the oldest, it's a whole nother thing too, right?
Yes.
Because we're in charge of the world. We're the ones that hold everybody together, especially after the parents are gone. We're the ones that they look to, talk to, need to, lean to, all of those things. But it's interesting.
But yet you're still grieving yourself.
Sure. But I think that it's interesting that whenever you have a parent who doesn't have a sibling, who's an only child, and something happens, they try to get it fixed quick.
Right.
It's not as much of a tendency to understand that there's going to be a process.
Right.
Like if you've got an older sibling, or you got 3 brothers, or you got whatever you got with your family, you learn a lot more about patience and sharing, and it's not going to be, we're not going to get to do this right now because we got to wait for this 3rd, 4th brother.
That's right.
It's a different
Or this one have a game, or this one have
dynamic.
Something going on.
A lot of the reasons why Daddy just did that was because he was an only child too, and he wanted to. I got 3 kids. I got to fix it quick. I'm chief of surgery. I'm a doctor. I need to get this figured out. Let's find a new wife. Let's find a new mommy. And but it really resonated. The other thing that really resonated to me, that I just will hold now in my heart forever.
Okay.
I just love what you wrote here. I pray that God will shower me with wisdom as I wait patiently for His perfect will, trusting in the phases of my life.
Yes.
And I love that because, whenever I decided to go into seminary, most of my family and friends were like, oh, that makes sense. Because I'd written a column for 17 years. And in the column, I'd written about my faith. And I'd shared my faith with family and friends, but I had not done that publicly.
Right.
And when you announce that you're going to go to seminary, that's a public thing.
Right.
And then the more I went through the classes, the more closer, James says, draw near to God, and God will draw near to you.
Draw nearer to you.
And the more I drew near to God, the more the Spirit gave me discernment on the Word. And the more I read the Word, the more I realized the Baptist Church, and the Episcopal Church for that matter, had read snippets to me on Sundays, but not given me the whole story.
Right.
And so I became, with my other fellow seminarians, very much more aware of the Bible, not just as a little bit of Luke and a little bit of Mark and a little bit of Isaiah or a little bit of Ezekiel. I mean, I got the book in my mind from A to Z of what the kingdom plan is and how this all works. And when you start understanding that, and you start sharing that, there are a lot of people that aren't there yet. I remember I was walking outside. We'd had a hurricane, Beryl maybe last year, don't remember, but I was out walking around, stomping around in the yard, and James Ever was videotaping me for the channel, and I was like, the cultural mandate. And after I got done with the video, because I don't ever do any second takes, James turned off the video and he said, Mom, nobody's going to understand the cultural mandate. You're talking in seminarian talk. You just need to talk to them in plain old English. But it's interesting to me because as I'm now in this phase of the photography business is still doing well, everything's great, but I am definitely transitioning into this ministry, this doctorate, to discern what that phase is, deeply in prayer with the Lord as to what His goals, His will, not my will. What do you want me to do for the kingdom? How do you want me to proceed with this? Should I preach? Should I ignore that Baptist background that says don't because you're a woman? Or do I... There's a lot going on with me right now.
So it sounds like you have a lot of dynamics, which is normal.
Oh, yeah.
But I think with people like you, myself, we are true believers. So before we engage and embark on new journeys, we're always going before God and asking Him, is this the direction that you want me to go?
Right.
Is this the direction? Because our flesh will tell us to do one thing, but it may not be what God is asking us to do.
Right.
So what do we want to do? We want to be obedient to his word. And when we are talking to people, such as when you're in your yard, walking around, and what are you doing at that point? You are actually embracing what nature has done. Mm-hmm. Because you and I didn't do that. Nobody could have done that. Kind of like COVID.
Oh, yeah.
People were like, oh my God, this can't. No. God allowed that to happen. But everything that he allows to happen, he has a plan and a purpose, right? Do we always understand it?
No.
But he said it. What does he say in his word?
My ways are not your ways.
My ways are not your ways. Lean not on your own understanding. Right?
Right.
So when we learn and we respect and we obey, because most of us don't want to do what? We don't want to be obedient.
No.
And that's where we fall short of his word. Because he said to acknowledge his ways in all ways.
Always.
Not some.
Right.
So when you're talking about going to seminary, when you are engaging in conversation with other people, when you're questioning about your Baptist background, or should I do it this way? We're going to take that before God and ask him, which way do you want
me to go?
Which way are you leading?
Right.
Me? And for myself personally, at this good ripe age of 64, I am so grateful that he has allowed me to be a witness of being on this earth for 64 years.
Yeah.
So when I speak of the various things that I spoke of in my chapter, I am really talking about life experiences. There are things that happen and you're questioning, why did that happen?
Right.
You know, because right now you don't see it, right? You don't see it. But further down the road,
you get it.
You get it.
Yeah.
But he said what? I sit high and I look low. He see things that you and I don't see, Alisa.
No.
We don't see it.
No.
And we don't understand it.
No.
And every time, one thing that life has taught me, a lot of time things happen in our life, they can be unpleasant. You don't have to like it. You're questioning why. But he said, all things work together. Mm-hmm. For who? Those who love me. Right? So when I look back over my life, I can truly say, you know what? I didn't get it then, but I get it now.
And that's the thing that's been so amazing to me about my own life journey. I mean, you know, I was supposed to be a lawyer, according to my will.
Yes.
And then the first pictures of Victoria made it to the cover of a magazine. And then all these Astros start showing up and taking pictures. And then this big career shows up. And I've got all this stuff going on. And I'm doing breast cancer calendars and kids cancer calendars. I'm on television. And all these experiences are happening that I had never planned to be my life.
You didn't plan it.
It wasn't my plan. It was his plan.
It's his plan.
And then, you know, you have the situation with the HOA and all the mess and craziness that went on with that, with having the studio here, and then my column that came out from that, and 17 years of writing this column, and all these things, right? And then when COVID hit, everything was shuttered. And I thought, what are you doing? I know this is not some anomaly. This is like, you know, when you have storms and it's the Holy Spirit. It's not you have to think about the situation. Every single thing that happens, every single day, to every single thing on this earth is controlled.
Correct.
So it's not like it's out of the wild blue yonder. So I was like, what are you doing? What are we doing? What do you want me to do? How do we do this? How do I navigate this? And then when I got to doing this channel, it was like, oh, wait a minute. And then seminary, oh, wait a minute. Well, you've been preparing me. Because the whole entire time that I was on TV, and I was nervous on TV, because it was live TV, you know, but you were preparing me to be okay to create a channel that can touch people's lives. Oh, okay, well, then all those times I had to stand up and present a breast cancer calendar or a kids cancer calendar to an organization or to the world on television, you're preparing me to be able to maybe you were preparing me to stand up in a pulpit. Maybe you were preparing me to go from a room of 5,000 people to 20,000 people. Maybe you're preparing me now as I'm writing books and getting prepared This has all been a plan that you've created.
Absolutely.
That I've not sat back and done nothing.
See, you didn't see it.
Not then.
But he had a plan for you.
But I do now.
His plan for you from the very beginning, when you thought that you were, quote unquote, I'm supposed to be the lawyer, he was in the background saying, no, you're going to be a photographer. But your photography is going to take you to a different level.
Right.
Your photography is going to take you to doing the seminary. I'm
right.
sorry.
No, yeah.
It's gonna take you to that place.
Well, we'll be at the cemetery at some point.
Well, it won't be no time soon.
we don't know.
We don't think
I don't know.
Well, we don't know what he's doing, but
right.
Could it perhaps be that he was getting you prepared? I think that sometimes God can't give us the things that we're saying, I want it right now.
Right.
But you want it, right? And you want it really badly. But God is saying, my dear child, you're not ready for it.
Well, and it's interesting because whenever I started thinking about the thesis for the doctorate, and then Satavia comes in here and wants me to be a part of this book.
Yes.
And my brother had called me, and his son killed himself, and he's had a hard time getting that straight.
Of course.
It's a whole different project whenever you got suicide on top of it being a child that dies. It's just a whole different...
Well, suicide comes along with what could I have done differently.
Right.
It comes along with guilt.
Yeah.
So when you start thinking of suicide, again, we have to think in terms of it's nothing that you could have said or done. Nothing.
No.
Nothing.
No.
But it's hard to accept that.
It is. But it's this book, it's two purposes. There's multiple purposes, but this, for me personally, it's like, obviously, so grateful to have an opportunity to be now family with everybody in it.
Yes.
And share our stories with the world. But the thing that's interesting as well is that this book, being a part of this book, has showed me that I do need to write books. I do have things to say.
You have something.
The column has been, a great thing, but this is a deeper dive into specifically grief and loss and all of that. And that may be because I've got such a resonance with that.
Right.
The direction that I need to go with what I'm doing with my books, what I'm going to eventually do with my ministry.
Mm-hmm.
I even thought the other day, I forgot who was here. Sharinda was here. We were talking about, I think you recruited her.
No, I think Satavia recruited her.
Okay.
But I know her.
Well, and I thought, I've been reading here about the chaplain, and I thought, maybe that's God's way of connecting me with y'all so that I may end up have a role to play in the hospice scene with the ministry.
Yes.
There's a way that this has been woven that I'm supposed to participate in that way, in a way that I'd never thought of before. Because what you do and what I do, even though we're not in a church as a preacher or priest, is a ministry.
It is.
We are doing discipleship, you and I, every day.
You want to know something? I have a prayer partner, and I can truthfully tell you, I've been doing hospice for a long time, right? I've always talked with people, counseling, therapy. I find it the same. I cannot tell you one day, it's the God honest truth, I cannot tell you one day that I feel like when I get up and go to my job or I'm in my career that I'm not helping someone. Not one day do I feel like I don't want to go.
Yeah.
That's the interesting part.
Yeah.
I do not feel, when I walk into a room, I am really saying, you know what, God, give me the words of what I need to say to this person. Let me inspire them in such a manner that they're going to feel better when I leave than what they did when I came in.
Exactly.
I cannot tell you how many times I've had families to call me back, send me a card, and share with me, you know what, I couldn't have gotten through without you.
Yeah.
And you know what I tell them? It wasn't me. You had a whole team of people.
Well, it's a spirit
and I'm
too.
grateful that God allowed me to cross paths with you. And I truthfully mean that. That it's almost like a feeling that you can't describe.
Yeah.
And like before, people would tell me how death would frighten them. I cannot truly explain it, but I can share it.
Mm-hmm.
I walk in rooms now, and there are times, because I pray before I go in rooms.
Mm-hmm.
I pray. You want to know something? I walk in rooms, and I see people, and I see with them, okay, Lord, what you want me to tell them?
Yeah.
What is it that I can
I always
say
ask
to them?
every day, make me a vessel. Make me a vessel.
You know what? One of my favorite conversations with me, God, make me a better person today than I was on yesterday. Let me reach anybody. I pass a lot of homeless people. Let me be able to touch somebody in a manner that their life will draw them closer to you.
To you.
Not me.
No.
To you. In my own household.
All right.
Lord, help me to be better. Help me to impact my husband. So when I'm communicating with him, my family, my friends, whoever, a stranger, help me to be better so that I can help them to be better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when I tell you, God is so, oh my God, so faithful, so true to his word.
Yeah.
So true to his word. Because he said in his word, the things that you ask for, they are what? They're like favors. Yeah. There's nothing he can't do. Right. So my other word to myself is, if you don't do it, I know that it's not because you can't do it.
Yeah, it's because it's not for me.
It's not for me.
It's not your will.
It's not in the will for me.
Yeah.
So yes. Thank you so much.
Oh, I hope that you guys have gotten something wonderful out of this conversation. I know I have. Every time me and Trellis get together,
we got a conversation,
so
and it's lengthy.
And it's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. You guys need to buy this book. I'm going to show you where to get it in the episode notes. We are in November. On November 1, we are at, what's the name of the place?
We're going to be at the Fountain of Life.
Right? Mm-hmm. I was halfway between Mississippi and Texas whenever y'all had the meeting, and I had no reception. So I'm on the committee, but I haven't gotten filled in on all the details yet. But we'll have a day that we're going to do a book signing. We're going to have a forum, a discussion.
Yes.
So people can ask
a panel
questions.
Where you can ask questions. You can be comfortable with your question and gain a wealth of knowledge.
Right. I think it's going to be a wonderful thing. But in the meantime, this is a wonderful book. It's a wonderful project. And I know you're as delighted as I am.
I am super excited about being a part.
Rounded up everybody to do it. Yeah.
You know what? It's something about connecting with people. And like you've connected with some people that may give you some answers to some questions that you had.
Right.
You know, am I supposed to be in hospice? I've been doing breast awareness. I've been talking with people. I've been doing a podcast. I've been writing a column. I've been doing photography for years.
Yeah.
What is the next journey?
And that seed was planted, a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been praying on it. And I was like, you know what? I didn't know there was a chaplain involved in this.
Oh, absolutely.
And I was like, that might be exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
Maybe what you're supposed to.
That's kind of interesting.
You know, I knew when I left my practice and I went into hospice, I've never thought that I would do anything different. But yet, everything that I had been formerly educated on, I was able to utilize it. Mm-hmm. Everything.
Well, and you know,
helping people to cross bridges.
It makes sense.
Dysfunctional families.
Because, you know, my whole, my degree's in psychology, my bachelor's is in psychology, my master's is in biblical theology. It makes sense. It makes sense.
It does.
So, anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, we're going to see where your journey takes you.
We'll see what happens.
I'm excited and looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am too. Well, listen, guys, if you found any value in this, please do us a favor. Like and share. Don't forget to ring that bell. And we'll see you the next time on another Living the Sweet Life. Take care.